So this weekend, I took the time to look at this incident that had happened on one of the cruise ships. Now, I've never been on a cruise, but I heard some young people who were talking about how they had went on these cruises and how they really liked the cruise. And I know there was one young person was telling me that their family had went on a cruise and that it was fun, but I didn't know that it could get this intense. Now I'm looking at some of the footage and I know that you could see some of this. It's not just black people fighting on these cruise ships. There are people of other backgrounds that aren't black that are fighting on these cruise ships as well. So the way that the videos came out, if you really pay attention to those brawls that are going on, they just hyper focus on the black attendees. I suspect that those people who are critical are Trump supporters. Yeah, it was some of the videos that came out over the weekend that I was looking at, and I was listening to the comments, and let me tell you, a lot of the people who were commenting were black themselves. And I heard comments going around saying, oh, I'm going to pay more money and go on a different cruise ship. And I'm thinking to myself, well, if you paying more money, you're lining the pockets of someone else. So how does that make you? Not very smart. And the way this economy is, even some of those people who might be doing well might be having to keep their little money in their pocket, find other creative ways to go on vacations. Maybe you might be doing some staycations. That's what I'm hearing. The way this is going, a lot of those people, the way they commented, they're people, I'm assuming they're a black class of people who feel, if you see the titles, they kind of badger and berate and belittle their own culture. And so what does that say about you? Because let me tell you something, if you get on a ship or you go somewhere, these videos will turn different if it's more people that don't look like you on there. You'll see videos of how they're being mistreated or they're being discriminated against or they're not being treated fairly because they don't want to be bothered with even you on no ship if you go to the more fancier ones. So, and for you to be spending money, they'll be wondering, well, how did you get that money? And then you'll be chiming in, insulted because they assume that you shouldn't have that amount of money because of your culture. So the stories will be a lot different. That's what I'm saying. So what I was hearing is that the Carnival cruises are not going to accept people on there, and they had a certain set of standards, and the standards, I believe, said no rap music. And I guess that song, The Boots on the Ground, they might have wore that out. And I think what happens is when people get a little too much alcohol in their system, some people are able to just have a good time and stay to themselves and not bother anybody. And then others, they get out of control, and that can happen in any group. You see the titles of the videos, the Jerry Springer of the Sea. I actually think that was a little more fitting, because it was drama, and I could see this young lady being a little more critical because, she said that she had experienced, I watched the videos of some of these people, she said she'd experienced or her friends had told her about some of these cruise ships. Now this straight flat out saying Section 8 of the seas, that is racial. when you see things like this, and when you see, that's actually worse than the title that this young lady has here, Black Behavior on Carnival Cruises. That at least, she could have said behavior, that negative, and maybe another word instead of black, because when you use those terms, it comes off as being discriminatory and racial towards your own background, because you got to look in the mirror at yourself. It's damaging, because you may act a particular way and other people act a particular way. It doesn't exclude you from the comments that you're making. You're also talking about yourself. So when you go somewhere thinking I'm gonna spend more money because I think I'm highfalutin and I'm this and I'm that and I don't act like those black people, white people don't look at it like that. They look at you when you make these comments. You like that too. That's what you just did. You damaged your own self. So I saw another video where an older woman, she's black, she makes videos, and a lot of them are real negative towards black people. I assume she's probably a Republican and a Trump supporter, because a lot of those people were the Candace Owens of the group that voted for this man that we see doing absolutely nothing for the people that you see that need health care. And like in Texas, that flood that just happened, he stripped everybody, even other white people, of their protections during emergencies and during flooding and during hurricanes. And so I could sit up here and say, like when they labeled Hurricane Katrina and they saw all them black people floating around and they painted the picture of them as being criminals. Well, this is the white version of Hurricane Katrina, only it came in the form of flooding rain in Texas, in Kerr County and in Hunts. So David Patrick, I guess he's the acting lieutenant governor of parts of that area, and it went from 13 bodies to 79 bodies and counting. So the death toll has been rising, and I haven't seen Trump once say anything about it yet after they signed that big ugly bill. So think about your words and what you're saying about your own folks, because you're putting yourself down while you're doing these videos, black folks. One of the ones that I saw was disturbing is this older black woman who was berating her own culture. I feel like she's been assigned to do that. And so we are in a time where you have people that look just like you that put your own people down. And they degrade them, they deface them, they pretty much with their words and their videos, they put them in a trick bag and they say, oh, it's your fault because of your culture. Even though you see them sitting up here and that's who they are. They're black themselves. And some of them may come from a different place, but you still black at the end of the day. They call themselves, I'm an island girl, or I'm a this and I'm a that. Well, guess what? You a black person that was dumped on the island, your people. And so you, at the end of the day, they looking at you. They don't discriminate. White people don't, the right races don't look at you and be like, no, those are the island people and those are these people. No, they look at everybody from one lens. And so if they see the behavior that you claim you say is black, they include you in that group. So let's get it where it's supposed to be said. It's honest. I'm making an honest statement here that you berating your own self. So that's the reason why we got this man in office. That's my point. So some of the black people, we came hard. Some of us came hard on the Latino people that voted for Trump. But we got black folks like this that voted for Trump too. And so they voted against themselves, and some of them got a little bit of money in their pocket, more than another one, and they think they're all that. And honey, if they have a mental health crisis or they have a health care crisis, they're one check away from poverty land as well. So don't let it fool you. I don't care how much education you have. Some of them are in student loan debt. So, and car debt and all these other debts, house debt and all that. So they ain't all that. So don't think that. But anybody could get alcohol in their system and carry on like this. And if you see the videos, they did show a brawl that broke out, and I guess it was somebody said that it was near Texas or something, some kind of port, and that it was a group of, and then too, you got to look at the age group of people. What have they been doing? Have they been using substances? And if it's substance induced, maybe out of their character, it's not something that they normally would do. And now they got a couple of drinks in them and whatever else in them. It isn't like other groups don't do that. It's just they might not post it and they hide it. You know, I've heard some things about these cruises that also they have swingers on there, and they had some young lady, she broke it down. I never knew this, but she mentioned that if you have a pineapple shirt on, that it means you're a swinger, and I guess the pineapple has to be hanging upside down. I don't know what that symbolizes. You know, maybe I'm behind the times, but she broke it down and she said that she herself was a swinger, so she knows what the upside down pineapples mean, and they put it on their door so they can have people join them. And they say if you get on these cruise ships and you see people wearing a lot of pineapple shirts, that they're engaging in promiscuous activities because they're swingers. So there's all kind of stuff that I was learning. And yeah, I did take the time this weekend to watch that Netflix documentary about the crazy thing that happened on that Carnival Cruise. The ship, how it had poop and urine, and the people were stranded on there and they couldn't go to the bathroom, and they had to go to the bathroom in red bags, and it looked like chaos. And the people that were telling the you know, they were telling the story, a lot of them weren't, I don't think I saw anybody black. A lot of them were white, and it was chaotic on there. And as I recall, the man said fights broke out. But you don't hear none of the black people that's commenting on other black people negatively about that. They just said, oh, you know, did you see that documentary? They didn't say, did you see the people that were fighting that weren't black? As if only black people get into brawls. I've seen white people get into brawls, honey. And boy, do they get into some knockdown, drag out stuff. And some of the videos I was looking at, I seen some white faces throwing hands. So don't get it twisted. Let's not think that this one group is doing all of the fighting, because I done seen some stuff on some of the videos showing footage of other people getting down and dirty and crazy. To some of the videos, the one lady up here who said, this Jerry Springer of the Sea, she said that one of the scenes where you seen a white guy, he was heavy, said he was doing a twerk move, and he was just moving his hips, and she said, ooh, that looks like fun. So let's be honest now. It ain't just black people that can get wild. She said it was fun. And so she said there's a difference. I get what she was saying. She says there's a difference with ghetto fun and just what I guess she wanted to say, ghetto dangerous, where people are hurting each other and whatnot. So in other words, this young lady in the middle here with the Jerry Springer, I think she was trying to say there's a way to do things that might be, because anybody can live in ghettos. You don't have to be black to live in impoverished communities or neighborhoods where you have to learn how to, make a way out of no way, as they say, and, deal with life as it comes. And so they may not make as much money, or some people may not have as much education, and it's not as affluent a community. And so people know how to survive. And so you could be of any background and culture and have that happen. So she was correlating, making the an analogy, and that you can have that type of fun without killing each other. Now, another thing I wanted to say about the cruise ships, I noticed they had, if you look at this little small photo here, it was too many people on that boat. So I'm thinking, now that Carnival Cruise has banned black folks' activities, that they might be losing some money, because it looked like that was most of the people that they were getting the business from. They wasn't banning that money. They just want to ban the, as this young lady underneath says, black behavior. And I guess it starts with rap music and some other things. But when I saw it, I said red flag, not because of the people. It's just too many people on that boat. I think they would have like a fire code or something they got to follow of how many people they can accept on the boats. And then too, these was some comments, and I was learning, because I was going to maybe later down the road get on a boat, but I said no. The last time I got on anything, it wasn't a cruise boat. It was just a little short trip to Catalina. And we were on a boat, and it was at Long Beach, and it was a nice little trip. They had the restaurants and eateries, and I don't recall anybody getting into any fights. I don't recall this thing she claims down here is black behavior, because I will say this, I was like maybe one person you could count on two hands that was black. At the time I took my children, and they sat down, they were excited, and they had a good time. And I don't know if you want to call it good behavior. I don't know. We just enjoyed watching the water and the whales, and the fish and things like that. And I will say this now, on the other hand, some people act as though they're not used to anything, and they do get a little bit crazy, and they get out of, they get uncouth. There are people like that, but I believe it's not just in one group. It's I've been around people, different backgrounds, and people who are ignorant can come in all shades. Just some people do things differently. But I tell you what, when you have that many people on a boat and you're serving alcohol, and then on the Netflix documentary, they gave out free alcohol while those people were stranded. Now, what do you think's going to happen? Free alcohol, and the people got to go to the bathroom in red bags? I don't think it's going to be good, no matter what background they're from. So I'm just saying. But anyway, and then if you don't have no bathroom to go to the bathroom in, why would you be drinking alcohol? Because alcohol runs right through you. That's, more pee water. And they said that people were peeing on the side of the boat, and the boat got flooded with pee and urine and excrements, and because the toilets weren't working and gotten backed up. So then I saw something. It was the Disney cruise. The father saved the daughter, and a lot of people were hailing him as a hero, and then other people were belittling him. I don't know what that mess was about, but I guess if I was a parent and my kid went over the boat, I would have jumped my ass in there and tried to save my kid too, especially if I thought nobody was coming to get him. Because I wouldn't have stood up there and been like, I don't know how to swim. No, I know how to swim. I would have been floating in that water holding my baby. I would have probably did the same thing that the father did, and probably damn near killed myself doing it, but it was for the purpose of saving my kid. But I don't know. They said he was out of line what he did, and they bashed the man. So yeah, so I guess this weekend I was looking at all these cruise incidents. Carnival Cruise, I learned some stuff about it. And I will say this now, on the other hand, with all the fighting, I don't know. I probably don't want to go to that. And, you know, if I could do it again and go on the little Catalinas, the little short boat trip, I'd rather do that than to be going on no big cruise ship with all those people elbow to elbow, and you know, all these things happening, swingers on there and all that. And then also I heard that some kids were being molested on the boats. Some young lady, she did a video saying that your kid could get molested, that they had a group on there that was targeting young boys and young girls. Now, I don't know what all that's about. And I would say anywhere you go with your kid, you're going to have to pay close attention, because they wander off. Somebody could try to do something crazy. So I was learning a lot of stuff about these cruise ships, because I had heard from one person that he said that his parents and him, they went, and he was excited, and when he came back, he didn't mention anything about fights. He didn't mention anything about people getting into a brawl. So some of these trips turn out to be okay, despite all of the drama that unfolded with the ones that you see here. Now, some of these clips are under a minute, or they're a little over a minute. And if you look at this one, as a short one, it's a Carnival Cruise, and they said they wanted to investigate.
For 3 days on a 10-day Carnival Legend cruise in the South Pacific. Friday, the ship turned into a floating fight club, forcing some of the 2,100 passengers to lock themselves in their cabins.
Horrifying, like people screaming, running around, just throwing glasses, everything, like nightmare.
Blood everywhere, people's faces getting smashed in. Yeah, they were full-on attacks.
The attacks blamed on a group of 23 people traveling together, origins unknown.
They were just roaming the decks, just looking to pick on like any Aussie they could find.
Others blamed the ship's security guards for escalating the chaos.
They put handcuffs around their hands, used them as knuckle busters, and punching women, 16-year-old kids, everything.
They were on the ground in handcuffs, begging for them to stop, and then the security just kept punching them.
During an unscheduled stop in Australia, police removed the group and then continued the scheduled trip. Allie Bauman, CBS 2 News.
Carnival Cruise Lines is offering the passengers a 25% future cruise credit as a good...
Okay. 24 people are now banned from sailing with Carnival Cruise Line after getting into a fight. The video from Saturday appears to show a group of people, you see them here, shoving each other while disembarking a ship inside of a terminal in Galveston. You can see people being pushed to the ground. In a statement to NBC News, Carnival says this happened in an area under the authority of U.S. Customs and Border Patrol and has been turned over to law enforcement.